Good evening. It's January 6th, Wednesday, and this is the first time I've ranted in the evening. It was requested by somebody that I love dearly, my daughter. She said, "You can't wait till tomorrow. This stuff is going on right now. I have friends who are depending upon you to get out this rant." So here I am in the evening ranting. And I can tell you I am ranting because of the mob scene that took place in front of the U.S. Capitol today and inside the Capitol. The people broke into the Capitol. And why were they there? They were there to protest the certification of Joe Biden's victory in the presidential election. It was supposed to be a peaceful event. Usually this particular event takes 35 or 40 minutes before it's over. Each state says, yes, we voted that way, and that's what it is. But today, 12 or 14 or some amount of senators and congressmen decided that they were going to protest, that they were going to object to the counts, the peaceful event. They were going to object to the accounts. And why were they going to object? Because our president has been harping on fraud and fraud and fraud, and he has encouraged this group of people to come out in front and stand out and do whatever they were going to do. He didn't tell them be peaceful. He just told them to go out and protest. No boundaries, no rules, just like everything else he does. And why has Trump sent these people to protest? Because he refuses to accept reality. He refuses to admit that he lost the election. In his mind, the election was rigged and it was stolen from him, and that's what it is. Now, Joe Biden got on and begged the people and begged Trump to make an announcement and to tell his people to go home peacefully. Biden acted very presidential, calm, trying to put the crowd at ease. So this is what Trump came out and said. "I know your pain. I know you're hurt. We had an election that was stolen from us. It was a landslide election, and everyone knows it, especially the other side. Go home now. We have to have peace. We have to have law and order. We have to respect our great people in law and order. We don't want anybody hurt. It's a very tough period of time. There's never been a time like this, where such a thing happened, where they could take it away from all of us, from me, from you, from our country. This was a fraudulent election." That's what he said. So basically he says, go home even though we were robbed. Is that what you say to a mob? We were robbed? Is that the way you calm people down? No. And I'll tell you something interesting. When I think about what those people are, and I thought that they could be called despicable. But I know despicable people, and they're a hell of a lot better than these people. I marched with despicable people. These people were correctly designated by Hillary Clinton as deplorable. So people who could go out and break into the Capitol in the middle of what is supposed to be a standard, simple 1-hour event, and they have turned it into mayhem. They had to force a halt to the certification process. And what happens? They're out there, and they break into the Capitol, and a woman was shot, right? And we are setting an example of what democracy is to the rest of the world. Can you imagine what Putin is telling his people, or what Xing is telling his people? You see that country? They're our enemy. You see how they treat their people? You see what they allow their people to do? You realize how safe you are where we live? Is that the example that we want to show to the world? No. And you know what these people are saying? when the police ask them to leave quietly? We have a right to be here. Again, with the rights. We have a right to be here. This is public ground. Well, you sure you have a right to be here, and you have a right to be peaceful, and you don't break into federal buildings. And you know what? They found an explosive device there. Is that a peaceful protest? Like people come there with guns, probably, and explosive devices? Is that what we represent in this country? You got to be out of your mind if you think that that's the United States of America. Anyhow, Washington put a curfew on at 6 o'clock, 6 p.m. And I don't know if these people abandoned the curfew or not. So this riot was caused by the president and exacerbated by the president with his go-home speech. And then we got his asshole son on TV, Eric, threatening all the representatives who are not going to stand behind him. Because when this election gets overturned, all of you will be in my father's doghouse. Can you imagine that? That a pisser like Eric Trump is standing up and threatening members of Congress and the Senate? Is that what we want to see in this country? That's a terrible thing. So the bottom line here is we have a president who knew he was going to lose way back in October and refused to accept the reality of a loss and prepare himself for a better life after leaving. Instead, he promoted a fraud. And in promoting the fraud, he stole $275 million from people to help him with his defense against this fraud. And he still believes he lost the election because of a fraud. Not because of his ineptitude, and not because of the people that he surrounded himself with, all of whom sucked his ass and had to give him donations probably to get the jobs. And so now he's on the verge of having to leave, and we have a riot on our hands. And I think that's all I'm going to say for my evening rant. And I didn't even have time to change my clothes to do this rant. I'm wearing tomorrow's clothes tonight. And I'll say good night now, and I hope that you all have a wonderful evening. Bye.